Coming up on the Empowered Woman podcast.
So important, especially as women, to invest in ourselves. And it kind of goes along the thing, like, I'm not just saying it, there's evidence behind this. There's truth behind this. And I feel like that certification kind of gives you that weight that you need, that confirmation. And it also does force you to really deep dive in that rabbit hole.
Welcome to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on personal growth, visibility, and profit for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to get empowered to be seen, stand out on social media, stages, TV, and more to make an impact with your voice in business, you're in the right place. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Marta Spurk, and I'm your host, empowerment coach, visibility and marketing expert, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. So today I want to share with you all the perspective from other ladies about not only the human design, the Empowered HD School, my human design membership, but also the certification. Why get certified? Yesterday, I went live in my Facebook group and I shared a little bit my reasoning behind me getting certified. And I'd love to hear a perspective on that too. I talked about a certification because you can absolutely teach human design and use human design without a certification. But the difference with having a certification, it's really a bigger commitment to taking this seriously. I mean, that's why we do stuff in a general sense in life, is that we say, I'm not just going to dabble in this and look at some stuff here and there. I really want to dive deep because I've experienced the benefits of this for my life and for my business. So that's how it all started for me. And then I started feeling compelled to teach it, because also human design explains that and justifies it with having a 6 line, being a 6-2 profile. The best way for me to learn is to teach. I can't help but teach stuff. This is how I learn best. So that's how I have been using it for my business. And also I have decided that it's not going to be my main thing in my business. Human design is a tool. Can you turn around and make this your main thing? Absolutely, because you're going to be certified. But do you have to? No, you have freedom, right? You can wait a few months, you can wait a year. So this is my background, my perspective, why I'm so passionate about this. But first, let's start with some introductions with these lovely ladies. Jamie, why don't you go first? Tell us who you are and what you do, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the membership and the certification.
Well, hello, I am Jamie Lynn, and it's so funny with me because I'm always with these titles, but I am definitely a breakthrough expert. I'm an international best-selling author of Me Too, But Never Again with 9 other women. And for me, I'm also, now that I'm human design, I'm a 5-1 projector. So that in itself, I've always been very much a guide. People have always came to me and trusted and wanted advice. And now I'm absolutely know why. So I also, with being a breakthrough expert, I coach others. And I have kind of this superpower where I can see that God spark, in Marta's case, spurk. And I can really bring that out by asking these questions that really download and come to me, so that people are set into their highest good, their dreams, their passion. And I don't really know how to title that yet, but we're just going to go with it.
I love it. That's so good. And by the way, we'll touch on this, but before I get to Heidi, Jamie was the very first person that suggested I create a certification in the first place. And it all happened so fast because I came up with the idea and we were having talks in around March. And then in April, I launched the membership, already hinting at this is going to become a certification program. So she's been through it all since the beginning, and I'm very grateful. Heidi, tell us more.
Well, hello. My name is Heidi Christianson, and I am the owner and agency director of Let Mommy Sleep of Idaho. I didn't know anything about human design until I came across Smartest Facebook post. Was immediately drawn in for whatever reason and have not left the rabbit hole since. I am a 1-3 pure manifesting generator, and I use this just to take a deep dive in myself. and to be, just to kind of get to know myself and how I work in the world, to get validation about what I'm doing is what I do, what I'm driven to do, what I was born to do. And I love it. I'm getting certified for two reasons. One, I want to be able to learn more. And this kind of, like Marta was saying, it kind of forces you to go deep and learn more because it is a certification. You want to do it right. And also to be able to reach out to people, read people, kind of get to know what's going on in their world. It changed my life drastically, and I'm not going to push it on people, but if somebody wants to know what it's about, I want to be able to speak with passion and, sprinkle curiosity in it and know what I'm talking about because it's the good stuff.
Yeah. That's such a valid point to say, I want to know that I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It just adds more confidence, right?
Yeah.
More pep in your step. Like I
Absolutely.
actually went through somebody's curriculum. I speak for myself when I did my certification. I actually went through a method, right? Somebody that has been doing this and that studied this laid out a foundation and I followed it. I didn't just find random stuff and then started talking about it. Is there something wrong with that? No, not necessarily. Many people sprinkle stuff in their programs that are not certified, but it adds more credibility and it adds more confidence for yourself, right? You feel more emboldened to say this because you've heard it, you studied it, you took a test, all the things.
Right.
Let me get back to you, Jamie, because Heidi shared a little bit more why she decided to go with it and even from the beginning, right? I saw Marta's post. This is so funny because we just had a call yesterday, Heidi. We were doing another reading because we're doing all kinds of different readings with different focuses. It actually got me inspired to think I could come up with a package of reading. Like, let's do a basic reading. And then a few weeks later, we do a reading on relationships. And then we do a reading on health. Like there's so many different things you could use human design for, or for, your next launch or whatever it is. But with Heidi, it's like, we didn't know each other. We literally didn't know each other like January of this year. We're in the same networking group. So I post in all kinds of groups, right? I share my stuff and my marketing style. And Heidi came across it and she's like, I want to know more about it. That's how it all started. How did it all get started for you, Jamie, even before the certification came about?
I had a friend that had said, oh my gosh, do you know human design? And I was like, no, what is that? And it was right around the same time when Marta's book published, where I learned that I'm an Enneagram 3. I thought I was an 8. So if you're don't know what I'm talking about, definitely get her book so that you can find out. And it's just so much fun. So I didn't mention that I'm an Air Force veteran and I met my husband in the Air Force. We've been together for 23 years. And during a large chunk of that time, I am coming into my empty nester syndrome, I'll say. And I just really did not know who I was because I've eat, breathe, and poop my kids for so many years. And I joined a network marketing business. It was incredible. And I was really connected more to the mindset of it because it asked me this question of, you're going to write what you want to do in 5 years. And at that moment, I was like, what in the hell? I have no idea how to answer that because all I really knew, and it was like that awareness, like all I really know was my kids and everybody else. Like, what a concept. What do I want? And so it started this journey. And when I found human design, being a projector is very different because there's 21% of us out there. So we live in a generator world. So when people, give compliments or they give suggestions, it's usually for a generator. It is not for a projector. We're very different. We don't have our own defined energy centers. And so I've always been into horoscopes and all these different things. And what I love, analogy, is huge fan of The Wizard of Oz. And Dorothy has her ruby slippers. And I feel like when Glinda's like, you've always had the power. And so Dorothy's like, what? I did? Well, that's what human design is. When you get to go down, I love how Heidi said the rabbit hole, you get to see defined superpowers. So to give an example, my dad's like, Jamie, you need a filter between your mouth and your brain. Well, one of my superpowers is I say what we all think, but it is in intention to get those triggers, to release, to get the clearing. And I realized that I've undergone through surviving so many different traumas that it was through my own healing that I'm able to help other people. So enmeshment trauma, different PTSDs, a lot of that. And so the thing I was always told is you can't save the world. Well, it's funny because part of my line is warrior of the light. I'm a heretic investigator. What comes with that, because I've also been misunderstood in my life, a lot of people will put expectations and see you almost like this savior. Not that I've asked for it or anybody that would be a 5-1 does. It's just kind of comes with that calling. Yeah. Your reputation can get ruined. It's very different. And we also, as a 5-1, we get a double portion. So we feel double, like the pain and the joy, but we're also reflected, people see us that way as well. So definitely like to say a diamond peg in a round hole that people try to put me in, and you can't. Mm-hmm. So being Dorothy, I feel everyone, we all have the ruby slippers, but human design is the way that you know how to click those bad boys and actually manifest and live the joy and the dream that you have. So I am very passionate about human design, and I love having the certification, or going to have my certification, because I just feel it benefits. If you're human, it's going to benefit you, period. Maybe even non-human. I don't know. I haven't ran across it, but in this case, it is just absolutely amazing. And the other thing I'd like to mention is we always say we don't have a guidebook to our children. And I have 3 children, 22, 21, and 17. And also with my husband. And I'm like, I wish I had human design 20 years ago or 22 years ago, because I understand my kids more. I understand how to approach them. I understand their gifts. And I also, with my husband, he's very different. He's a 4/6 generating manifester. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I get it. And I also understand why I'm energized around him. Being non-emotional, I realize that when I'm feeling a lot of the things, I'm absorbing other people's energy that isn't even my stuff. So it's just very powerful. I could go on and on, but I'm going to stop here.
No, this is great. And even the analogy of Dorothy, I love that so much. And trusting your inner knowing, and finding more stuff about yourself, especially when it comes to business, because that's the segue that I want to add as well, is how is this going to help you with your business, regardless of how you choose to use it. And also, I have to say, super proud of you dropping the stats, 21% projectors. This shows you've attended the sessions, you're studying, something that the other lady that I interviewed for the last episode, we're talking about how they love the quizzes. Because then it tests you, right? Did you actually pay attention? Did you actually absorb that information? And the certification takes that to the next level, because it's not quizzing you just for funsies, is you need to know this and get it right to be able to get to pass the exam. So all amazing things. I love it so much. All right, Heidi, you kind of shared a little bit. I guess what I'm going to ask you is, when you joined the membership, because that was the first thing that came through, were you already thinking into getting the certification, or was that something that you decided later on? Tell me how that thought process was for you.
So I joined the membership for multiple reasons. Just, I'm curious. I'm at a point in my life, just like Jamie is, I'm just curious. It's time to refocus on me. I'm an empty nester. Totally get it, Jamie. But it's really time to circle back and focus on me, and had no intentions of certifying. But the more I spent time in it, the more I wanted to know more, and not just about me, but about the people around me, about my relationships, about how I present myself to the world, both in my business and myself. And I really felt like it was a really good way to get all the good stuff, feel confident in my ability to talk about it and work with people if they choose. But it also helps business-wise, so that I have a better understanding about me and how I function, so that I can present myself in the best way. Because I deal with a population of people that, newborns and postpartum moms are tough nut to crack. So, yeah. So I want to just be the best of myself and know myself and, embrace who I am and how I was created and built and love it.
Oh, that's so good. Embrace who you are and how you were created and how you were designed. And in turn, by doing that, you're going to be more aware of people and embracing who they are and how different they are. Just like Jamie was saying, understanding, oh, my husband's so different. That's why we butt heads. That's why, we do things differently. Right. When you get that reason, oh, there's a reason. They're not just doing this out of spite.
Right.
It helps so much with relationships. And just to clarify, like you said before, you're not intending on pushing this on anyone.
Oh, absolutely not.
So how are you planning on using it then? Just, in case anybody out there is like, well, I don't want to become this full-fledged human design coach all of a sudden.
So for me personally, I've been through so much, just like Jamie has. And I think circling back and not being like this focus of my family and circling back to me, I want to learn about myself first so that I can live what I'm designed to do and not fight it. I've learned so much about myself through human design. And one of the things is I'm a caregiver by nature. And I can't fight that. I've tried it. It's miserable. But owning it and knowing that it's part of who I am, frees me to really dive into that and to take and give what I need to people who need it. It also helps me from a business perspective to kind of know myself and know my triggers and know how I can speak. So that I don't, so that I can just present myself better to people. Yeah. If I speak something and it sparks an interest, just like when I got on your Facebook page and found you, I would love to have more conversations about it because I think it's powerful stuff. And maybe down the road, it will innately just wind itself into my business. And I wouldn't mind that either. But for right now, I just really want to keep it on a personal level and a family level and a relationship level and just learn. Just learn.
That's great. Wow. And just to reiterate what you just said for anyone listening is how human design can help you figure out the things about yourself that you're fighting that are meant to be there. They are a part of you so that you can own it and actually leverage it and say, this is who I am. There's a reason for that. Back to what Jamie was saying. My dad said, I need a filter. And turns out there's a reason why you don't have one. There's a purpose for that. People need the people that say the things others don't want to hear. We also need the people that do some more of the nurturing and that coddle a little bit more. We need all of the different things across the spectrum. And that's what human design shows is the differences in all of us and how we need each other and how we complement. And to use the orchestra analogy that I always use, we all have a part to play in the orchestra. And that's what human design outlines beautifully. I love it. Thank you so much, Heidi. All right, Jamie, tell us then, because you suggested the certification. Now I want to hear, because I don't think I ever asked you this, what gives? Like, where did you come up with that? So were you already thinking, this is what I need? I'm going to add this to my business. What are your plans? What were?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, it's so important, especially as women, to invest in ourselves. And it kind of goes along the thing, like, I'm not just saying it, there's evidence behind this. There's truth behind this. And I feel like that certification kind of gives you that weight that you need, that confirmation. And it also does force you to really deep dive in that rabbit hole. Because you have to know what you're talking about. You're not just gonna, there's so many opinions out there, and the way that human design, and I would just say, I've been on many of Marta's programs that I've invested in, and I love the way that Marta teaches. For me, I am not one of those people that can just sit and read. I'm a very audible visual learner. So I have a lot of audible books. I love her book, the Enneagram one, the Empowered Women, because it's such a short book and it's really like easy and you can really go by and it just really absorbs. But the way Marta teaches is she has this incredible way of putting, like, I'm going to call them spark notes, but back in the day, grew up in the 80s and 90s. So we had, if you didn't want to read a book, we get Cliff Notes. And if you did the Cliff Notes and you could take a test, and Marta has this magical way that how she can create to put all of the nuts and bolts right on the page. And it's just like, oh my gosh, the keys, and absorbs. Because when you start getting into human design and then gene keys, and, there's different things to go into, it can get a lot, and you can just take one gate and go spiral down a rabbit hole. So it's very important to have a really good instructor that you can have that's going to, just, this is how it is. Like, for instance, manifesting generators, when they're concerned, they don't necessarily always say the truth. They want to hide in secret with things. I could always call out my husband or two of my manifesting generator kids, because I'm all about the truth. And I'm all about getting to the root of something. And of course, I love that you put inner child healing, because that's what I specialize in. And when you're able to do that with human design, Marta just gets right to the bolt. It's right there. It's easy to absorb. The way that her Kajabi is set up, it is so amazing. And her tests aren't these generic ones. I mean, you really have to know the details, and the way that she teaches, you're able to just get it. And she gives cheat sheets, this incredible way that she creates, because you're not going to be able to memorize everything, right? There's just so much. So you need to have a way, when you're with clients, when you're with people that really do choose, and they're like, hey, I really want to know this. And oh my God, I have these superpowers. I want to know more. And it's such a simple breakdown that is very easily digestible. And so I really was so thankful that Marta was open to certifying, because listening and learning from all her other platforms that I have been on, and including, like, I thought I was going to be a motivational speaker, and she had this way of just, I said what I was, and she just created this outline. And honestly, I could have read off the outline and just flowed, and on a structured talk. And normally, you don't really, not everybody can just do that. And I've had other coaches. So for her to be able to use her superpowers to make human design like this, it is, which is like, I mean, I cannot get enough, and it keeps getting better and better and better. So hopefully I answered. I'm just like, yes. I could keep going.
No, you did. Thank you so much for saying that, because, and I always open up usually our membership call saying, everything you're about to hear is going through my filter, right? I am teaching as a 6-2 generator, sacral generator. This is what you're getting. If you were to go with a different instructor, you would get their nuance, and that's just the way that it is. But obviously, there's some benefits of my filter that you ladies have resonated with. So I love that you brought that up, and Heidi is agreeing too. Something that I wanted to ask now, Heidi, over to you, is somebody that is considering it, right, is thinking, wow, this is interesting. I definitely want to dive deep. I understand the benefits of the commitment, right, and taking this seriously. But what if this is a distraction for me? Why can't I just go and start, sort of like self-based, picking up the information, or any other objections that, people could say in terms of how time consuming this is? Because we talked about the rabbit holes, and there are many of those, like whatever comes to mind, share with us.
Yeah. So I think that anybody can go get a free reading of your human design chart. And there's so much to know. We say rabbit holes kind of jokingly, because there are places that you can go on your chart and just get lost for days. Marta's, she explains it in, like Jamie said, and I second everything Jamie said. She explains it in such a way that she keeps it simple, and it's understandable and relatable to you or to me. And then she'll say something like, gosh, this gate looks interesting. Why don't you take a look at that gate? And so, yes, you can get overwhelmed, and sometimes there is a little bit overwhelm. But I feel that reading my stuff was very relatable. So for me, it was a joy to go down. I'm like, all this validation and all this really cool stuff that makes me is really me, and I don't need to fight it anymore. In terms of time, I actually block off time to spend in human design. It forces me to just focus and go and take notes and all that stuff, and then put it away and kind of let it sink in. Write down questions that come up, or or phrases that come up or aha moments that come up, like what I shot you yesterday in our text. But it's to do it alone. I personally would be lost and overwhelmed, but doing it with a group of people who you can bounce ideas off of and actually learn from their body graphs as well as you dive in. It creates a community that makes it fun and engaging. And to have a leader like Marta just kind of showing the way and dropping all these little breadcrumbs that you can follow makes it easy and absorbable. And I wouldn't want to do it any other way.
Yay, thank you. Well, and I love that too, because I'm learning as well. I don't know all the things and I'm constantly learning. And I'm always saying, giving some extra info and saying, because X, Y, Z, but you don't need to know this now.
Right.
That's the indication that there's more that you could explore. So it's an ongoing thing. Just know the basics. I love that Jamie mentioned the cheat sheets as well. That is going to be exclusive for the certification, by the way, because I want to prepare you to do your own readings and not have to start piecing stuff together. I actually created a whole spreadsheet with different tabs for descriptions for each of the aura types, each of the profile lines, each of the authorities, all the 64 gates, all the 100 and some incarnation crosses. So you don't have to go to Google. Obviously, you can go to add in more language if you feel like it, but you don't have to. I'm going to simplify all the work for you, stuff that I wish I had in my own certification. I am, filling in the gap of the things that I wish I had, improving with my own twist on it. And it'll be a lot of fun as well. And something else that I wanted to say is how human design encourages you to trust yourself. Right? Because if you're going to be sharing this information with people, there is an element of insecurity. Like, am I saying it right? Like, if I encourage somebody to go down the rabbit hole of a specific gate, like, is that the right way for them? Trusting that what you're seeing, like, even from like psychic abilities, I saw this, it spoke to me. I recommend you go look into it. And then they do whatever they want to do with that. But you trusting that you were chosen, to say that message and that represents something. That is a lot of what I have been getting out of human design, is that the way I'm teaching it is the way that I'm meant to teach it. And if people get something out of it, that is amazing. I love it. All right. Final words, Jamie. Let us know why you would recommend somebody that's on the fence or considering finally jumping on, and then share with us how people can find you too.
Well, for me, all of us need to know thyself, right? Know yourself. Yeah. And human design is all about your personal, unique makeup of your superpowers. So for me, I didn't have a lot of confidence. You think I would, I was in the military, all this stuff. I'm an international bestselling author, which I'm still trying to process and digest because that was just this December. But, and I shared, I ended up in that book, I shared a very personal story as a survival of sexual assault. And so I'm just like, why would I even want to do something like that? And knowing my superpowers, that gave me the confidence, not only in just that aspect, not only being able to look, because you can't make up the time you were born. You can't make up the birth date that you were born. You can look back, especially, I'm going to say, just because we have a little bit more experience in our, closer to 40s, I'm 44 years old right now. You have the hindsight that I look and I'm like, oh, I know I made that decision. Oh, I know. And I think the most incredible thing is I'm huge about not staying in victim mode, and it's what the universe does for us, not to us. And when you can see your superpowers literally laid out before you, and it's going to reckon that you're going to resonate with it, because it is literally, I've not ran across anybody that's not like, oh my gosh, it's dead on. And don't think, I mean, I got my whole family, my kids, my dad, like everyone. And I'm like, let's see what it is, because it's so exciting. Yeah. You can't make it up. So it's like, the reason we go to coaches, the reason that we do all these things is really to do this deep dive of how it's going to work for us. And so to have a personalized experience, I don't know any other way than to have a personalized experience that somebody can have to step into. And as far as me, I'm on right now, I'm still up getting my websites up, but I'm Jamie Lynn on Facebook, and I'm also at SharpGirl79 on Instagram. I am going to be launching my podcast before the first of the year, and it's called Own Your Shit, Shed Your Shit to Be the Shit. So you can, and I also have www.shedmyshit.com. So that we're going to be talking about stuff that we all think about, we all really want to know. But people just, even though we want to know, our society is like, oh no, that's taboo, you can't talk about it. Well, we're going to talk about it. Yep. And I have incredible guests coming. So I already got a lineup. So I am very excited. And I love to incorporate and encourage everybody to, on the side, to, hey, if you want to know more about you, then let's do this. And that's what human design is going to naturally do with my certification.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I love it. And the podcast is spot on with owning your 5-1 projector. So you're owning, leveraging your gifts. I love it so much. Yeah. All right, Heidi, final thoughts in encouraging people to hop on the certification to become the first certified with you too, and also how to find you.
So I think for me, I am not as far in my business, my own personal business, not my Let Mommy Sleep business, as Jamie is. So that's kind of a work in progress. I am really owning the fact that I am born to be a caregiver. It's in everything I've read about myself. It's in every gate. I mean, it's right there. I can't fight it anymore. And I do it naturally. So now it's kind of time to take the reins and do it professionally, I think. But the real reason that I'm doing the certification is to get to know myself more, and to kind of refine what I am, not fight it, be able to present myself and work with people in an environment, where everybody can win. And that's kind of where I'm at. I think the certification, with Marta, is a perfect fit for me. And I think that, by doing it this way, I'm going to come out stronger and better in the human design aspect and know myself much more deeply, and to be able to own that and use it as an empowerment tool.
Yay. I love it. Tell us how to find more information on the sleep consulting.
letmommysleep.com. If you're in Idaho, /Idaho. And if you want to know a little bit more about me personally, you can go to HeidiChristianson.com.
Amazing. We'll make sure and put that in the show notes. Thank you so much, ladies, for your time. I so appreciate you. I look forward to being in the trenches with you in the next month or so until you get your certification and seeing the amazing things you end up doing with this. You are awesome. I so appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode empowered you. And if you enjoyed the show, please join the Empowered Woman community on Facebook and share with friends, or leave a review on iTunes so more people can discover this empowering message. Until next time, bye.